So, guys, I do want to say that, Shane Taylor did actually something that I'm very, very proud of. And what happened was that during Ring of Honor Final Battle, he was instigating Nigel McGuinness, and he was really putting over, putting over one of his boys, really. And he also had two matches. Shane Taylor Promotions had two matches. And that kind of leads me to a big issue with AEW, that you see people like Shane Taylor, who he has two big attributes about him that are really undervalued. That first of all, he is a big man. And the problem with AEW is that they don't really push big men that well. You see how Brian Cage loses a lot. You see how Marco Stunt had a 50-50 match with both Brody Lee and also Lance Archer. And then also you see Darby Allin able to beat people like Brody King and other things like that. So there's a lot of senses of big men losing to smaller people. And I do understand that, having some of that's realistic, but to the extent that AEW does is not good. So I'm not really happy that Shane Taylor hasn't been winning a lot, or he's not being put in matches or segments that show his physique. Really, he does look very formidable, and he's a former boxer. So I would hope that he would get a big push, really. And then the other thing about it is that during the Ring of Honor match, he was getting on the microphone, he was instigating Nigel McGuinness. And I really respected that, because that's kind of what you need out of a professional wrestler. That's one of the reasons why AEW struggles a lot, is that there's a lot of wrestlers who really don't know how to start fights, don't know how to kind of create a conflict, don't know how to say we're going after this, here are my goals, and all that stuff. But Shane Taylor had some, seeds of that in the Ring of Honor Final Battle show. And one of the reasons why it was a bad show, in my opinion, is that there was no other wrestler on the roster who did that outside of Shane Taylor, so it does show that, he is, when it comes to Ring of Honor, he knows that instigation, is what you need. Instigation's the best presentation, so with that said, the other issue is that, I do believe that, Shane Taylor Promotions needs a really big push. They need to be in the trios division. I do think that with AEW, the trios division needs a bunch of different wrestlers, needs a bunch of, heels and baby faces. And for the six-man titles, you could do Shane Taylor Promotions versus Dustin and the Von Erichs. I think that would be a really good conflict, because it would motivate the Von Erichs and Dustin to kind of work together a little bit more. Dustin is a double champion, so he's gonna have to face bigger and better, really. Not just, okay, the Von Erichs and Dustin are holding it, and they're not defending it for a couple of months, really. So there's an area in that, really. So the other thing with AEW is also the trios champion division. So, honestly, imagine if you had Shane Taylor and, the two other wrestlers that he's with. I don't even know their names, but imagine if you had them face the Death Riders, or you take it off and you give it to the Conglomeration, and you have the Conglomeration versus Shane Taylor Promotions. Definitely with the trios titles, you need more teams for that. And you need to kind of separate, who's going to be the trios division and who's going to be in the AEW, tag team division. Not take a bunch of, tag teams that do well as tag teams and you put them in the trios division, because that kind of separates it. But I think Shane Taylor Promotions, they really need that. I've also said the Maximum Male Models and Dalton Castle should be a trios team. But I think with Shane Taylor, he would do a great job. And then also, too, I think if you put Shane Taylor on Collision, you have him speak on the microphone, you have him instigate people, and you have people just, get upset with him. I think he could be a top heel. And, imagine if you had Lashley versus Shane Taylor, or you have Hobbs versus Shane Taylor. Imagine if you had Shane Taylor have squash matches, and it's almost like every single match he has his, friends, pick up a wrestler, and he kind of just gets him a knockout punch or whatever, really. There's a lot of things that you can kind of do with him. But I also like that he instigates the crowd. He does care about professional wrestling, but I do feel that he's just poorly booked. I think he can make a lot of money, really. So I think that, Shane Taylor Promotions needs a bigger chance. They're definitely in the jobber roles. And I also will say that, once again, you have so many different people in that. You have three people who could be your trios champion. You have, a woman in it who could be your ROH women's champion or TV champion, or it could be the TBS champion. And then, what would happen if you have them feud with Top Flight and you make Top Flight like a trios team? Like a trios division should be the Maximum Male Models and Dalton Castle. It should be the Blackpool, the Moxley faction. It should be the conglomeration. It should be Shane Taylor Promotions. And you can kind of like do some other teams of like up and comers. I think Dustin and Von Erichs is good, but they need more matches and a couple other things like that. So I think that there's a lot of potential in Shane Taylor Promotions, but they really just don't emphasize them that well. I think Shane Taylor is highly underrated, and he could be a huge asset for AEW if he was given the right push.